Hello, thank you for joining us for a Chairish Masterclass brought to you by High Point Market, Market Day in a Life with designer Eric Haydel. Founded in 2013, Chairish is now one of the largest home decor marketplaces in the world with over 1 million items listed for sale by American and European vendors on the platform. We are the source for spectacular, one-of-a-kind antique and vintage pieces, as well as newly made inventory. A big welcome to our Chairish trade member audience. I am Caroline Cole, part of the trade team here at Chairish. I work with designers on the East Coast, assisting with sourcing projects on the site. Trade members at Chairish enjoy net pricing, dedicated support, and a trade reward program. And if you are not a member, I welcome you to join by enrolling on the site at chairish.com/trade. And today I'm delighted to introduce our presenter, Eric Haydel, who will offer an insider's guide to High Point Market. Eric served as a style spotter for the High Point Market Authority in 2019, and he'll do that again this year. As I'm sure you're all aware, Market is October 14th to 18th this fall, and there is so much to see at Market. It is the gold standard market event for designers and always a seasonal highlight for our Chairish team. I'm excited to hear from an expert about how to best manage all the opportunities available at Market. And as a note, this presentation will be recorded. We will have time for a Q&A following Eric's slides, so you're welcome to submit them as they come to you. Eric Haydel is a native of Southern Louisiana. His design ethos marries Southern charm with New England sensibilities. He's the president and creative director of the McGeough showroom in the Boston Design Center, and he has served as president of the New England chapter of ASID. Eric has also ventured into product development, which makes him an excellent resource at Market. In 2017, he introduced 2 rug collections, and more recently, he partnered with Waterhouse Wallpaper to produce a selection of historic-inspired wallpaper for modern homes. Eric, thank you for walking us through the many riches at Market. Please tell us how to get the most out of our visit.
Well, hi, Caroline, and hi, everyone in Chairish Trade world out there. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm excited because our conversation really is about what I'm passionate about. And what I'm passionate about is being an incredible connector, an incredible resource for my colleagues. And I remember when Chairish began back in the day, and I was an early adopter to it. So it's sort of come full circle. And I'm really grateful. So thank you so much, Caroline, and for all of you joining us. As you all should have your plans ready, a High Point Market is just a few weeks away. And I share with you and really partner on this idea of it being the gold standard, Caroline, because for me, it was such an attainable goal. To put it another way, my uncle owns a design store in the city I grew up in. And ultimately, it was always a dream that one day I could go to High Point Market. And so lo and behold, I became a designer, set up my business, got a resale certificate, and said, now's the chance. And it's very fun and fitting that most people want to acquire the front page of a magazine, which yes, I love that. But ultimately, the gold standard for me was getting to go to High Point Market. And so it's a great honor to present on this topic today at a place that I really love and has really built my business. And so I say to you, if you're going to market for the first time, or if you're going to market for the 15th time, our conversation today is really for you. And it's an invitation to look at market in a new way and to find it as a new resource. If you're going to be at Market, you know that you can wander through many buildings and have the best of champagne. You can dive into some great punch and Krispy Kreme donuts. You might even wander around and find popcorn and hors d'oeuvres. But is that really why you spent your time preparing your schedule and calling your reps to get to Market? Probably not. Ultimately, I think you are looking for variety to be inspired. I think you're looking to build your professional relationships. You're looking to build your business and learn for a new way to do business. We all know as designers that our businesses have changed, they've developed, and they will continue to do that as we move forward each day. And we also learned that market allows us to do our jobs without being redundant, market them better, to offer something a little bit different, to offer something a little bit unique, not only if we own a retail practice or to a trade relationship showroom as I do, or if you're building your design practice every day. You want to learn the do's and don'ts of what happens in your business and moving forward, and how to continue to be inspired as a professional. And so today I'm going to focus on 3 areas of market that are so important to me. I moved into trade showroom business because I was passionate about the idea that we could provide our colleagues with one-of-a-kind business elements, one-of-a-kind products, antiques, antique reproductions, and even some really cool custom options that they thought were never possible. We wanted to not only be that resource for the individual to think outside of the box, but we also want to continue to be the driving force for our community in New England. And so I really start with the question for you as you're listening: how do you high point market? If you have no idea, it's totally okay. Because going into my 10th market, sometimes I feel the same way. I sort of have to stop and think, where am I going to start? Who am I going to see first? And what do I want to adventure to find inspiration and ideas? And I will tell you that it always begins at Antiques and Design in Market Square. For me, that one-of-a-kind component is really what makes the difference and sets the standard for market. The great thing about that particular venue, as long as some of the other venues that are along the way, are that these vendors plan and travel the world, scoping out some of the greatest finds that they look for. You probably had no idea that High Point Market is one of the largest last standing individual markets in this area of of one-of-a-kind goods for our market. Many of those vendors work year-round through Chairish and other online platforms to be your resource. So if you start there, it's a great way to remember that these people can follow you first initially with a great handshake and some cool inspiration, but also move and support you throughout your calendar year until you get back to market in the spring or next fall. All of these booths restock daily. So if you don't get a chance to get there Monday or Tuesday when it may open, or Tuesday and Wednesday, or Wednesday and Thursday as they are rolling opening throughout market, you do have the chance to find some great purchases along the way. When you are purchasing, it's so important to understand what you're buying. At the end of the day, you might think it's of value, but is it really? It's a great chance to ask these professionals, these experts in the area, what's the story of the piece? Where did it come from? Is it truly a reproduction or is it an original? I will tell you that some of the greatest finds are the folks that know the story and the lineage of every piece they have. Lots of times when you're looking for Chinese antiques, for instance, many of those pieces are actually knockoffs because the Chinese have been knocking off their own product for hundreds of years. So to find an expert at Chinese antiques is a gold standard of a find in the world of antiques and design. So know upfront that these people are there to give you the stories and ask about them when you're purchasing. Know that when you purchase that day, you're expected to carry away with it or to arrange shipping. So what's great about many of these resources and about High Point Market is they're going to be stands all around for UPS, FedEx, and other local shipping companies that will arrange with you. Many of these vendors have relationships already in your regions, and you yourself also utilize resources in your regions. And so many will pack and ship for you. So know that in many cases, it is cash and carry with some assistance for shipping. And finally, in the world of one-of-a-kinds, buy what you love. If you love it, I guarantee your client will love it. You'll have the story, you'll have the connection, and you'll absolutely be able to make it one of a kind in the space that you've designed for your client. So I encourage you to take your first dive into antiques, antique reproductions as you begin your market journey. So along the lines of reproduction, Chairish is an incredible resource. I have to tell you, they didn't ask me for that line. It's actually the truth. Many of the projects that I produce for my clients, many of the accessories that we actually bring into the showroom are through some of my cherished relationships. And so these are the people that I rely on to build those reproduction components. Many of the things you will find in a lot of your upholstery and case good showrooms across the market are actually inspired by some of these reproductions that you see on the Cherish site. And so you have the opportunity to really resource your roadmap before market. Yes, you want to reach out to your vendor reps to set up appointments, but you also should take the opportunity to look through Cherish and choose 2 or 3 pieces that you really love, favorite them, print them out, and actually begin a scavenger hunt for yourself at market and identify maybe the new design that has been put out by Hickory Chair and where is the leg style from, what genre, what piece. I think the great part about market is the inspiration that we get to pull from with the knowledge we have. Many of us have decorative art degrees. We have backgrounds where we immerse ourselves in furniture design, and we sort of forget that. And we make sure that the hustle and bustle of the balance sheet is missed and to focus every day when we have the opportunity to go back and really dive deep in what we love. And so I encourage you to utilize Cherish's wide variety of resources and build your reproduction scavenger hunt. Remember that most of the pieces you see are actually built by hand. Men and women throughout of the sector of furniture design are actually creating these things for you. And so these reproductions are really one of a kind in their own right. And they can be mass produced, but to the level that you're looking for as a designer and that your client can be proud of. And so take the opportunity to look through these showrooms, see these vendors, and engage with the history of the process a little bit deeper while you're at market this year. I want to move on briefly to the world of custom. So lots of times we get really excited and really nervous as designers. We almost panic when the word custom comes to play. The good news is that many of the upholstery and case goods showrooms at High Point offer you the opportunity to be customizable. And many of you are familiar with that. But they also offer you the opportunity to be truly custom, to work with their trade specialists to create start to finish from scratch, an idea that you've drawn out, a material you want to use, a hardware that has interest and inspired you, obviously within the framework of what they do. Clearly, if they make upholstery, they're not going to stop making upholstery and switch to iron and glass. However, when it comes to the upholstery, they may be willing to work with you. All you have to do is ask and understand the capabilities of what they do. Going back to the idea of reproduction, many of these institutions have workrooms where they're cutting and making their frames on site. They can make moderate adjustments for you, and they can also change some of the proportions. Remember that you're asking for slight modifications. At the end of the day, all of these furniture pieces have been designed to certain proportions, certain depths, and there are certain standards we have in the industry. There is going to be a chair height that works perfectly. Whether you're 5'6" or 6'5", we always look to be 19 and a half, or 20 inches high in a dining room chair height. That's an industry standard. So when you come to us and you want it 22 inches high, we're going to shake our head and encourage you not to do that because your client won't be happy. It's so important that when we look at custom, we remember that what you really want to do is you want to customize. You don't always want to start from scratch. You want to utilize the great resources that we have within our relationships at High Point Market. These people are the experts. They've been doing it for so many years, and it's a great opportunity to work with them and not work against them. Many of us are not great at math. I, for one, almost failed math, almost didn't graduate high school because of math. And here I am every day working through measurements, working through geometry, and making it work for all of us. I'm pretty sure some of you can relate to that. Finally, I share with you that custom pieces or customizable pieces take time. I think we all forget that time is what we have on our side, and it's what we sell to our clients. It's how we set our expectation, and it's how we drive our process from start to finish to give them what they want. And so the invitation through all of this, through all of market, is that you take the time to explore, to see one of a kinds, to find your reproductions, and to learn about how market and its vendors can customize and work through custom projects with you. They're all there and available for you. Market is established for you. I bet you didn't know that most of us are the reason that markets still exist. As you know, there's a huge decline in retail as we see across our own markets across the country. Design continues to be the driving force and the inspiration behind each one of our vendors that we have at market. In this coming year, High Point Market will celebrate 115 years in business. You each are part of that process, and we hope that you'll continue to support market, and I hope that I'll continue to see there. As you come around market, I hope you'll stop me. I'll be offering a tour on Monday starting at 9:15 at the Point, exploring antiques, antique reproduction, and running into some of my cherished friends along the way. Allow yourself to be acquainted with market through our app. Take the opportunity to look through and see the new launch of the Antiques and Design custom map that we made that features over 20 market available vendors throughout. Many of them offer several vendors in one location. So it's very possible that you could spend all of market just in the world of antiques and antique design. I encourage you to also see all of our great manufacturers that have continued to push and continue to move the industry forward by hiring generations of talent. I also, with that, ask you to encourage our manufacturers to continue to support trade programs. We are in desperate need of young people who can continue to learn the craft, learn the handmaking skills that continue to push our industry forward. Without them, market and our own businesses cannot survive. Also, utilize our online resource. If you go to the highpoint.market.com website, you will find out that we have a free travel service that if you haven't made plans yet, will be an incredible resource to help you find available hotel rooms, Airbnbs, flights that would be available, and also the opportunity for rental cars, restaurant reservation, and other programming. Find your favorite vendors and see what they're up to. Find me at market. Let's take a selfie. And I look forward to seeing you real soon. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Eric. And we have a few questions coming in.
Sure. What you got?
You addressed this a little bit, but what is your advice for someone going to High Point for the first time? How would they arrange their visit or coordinate where they're going?
Sure. So obviously I mentioned we have the travel solution through High Point Market Authority, which I will tell you I actually use, which is wonderful. Even though I've been to market several times, I still continue to use the folks at the travel agency. Lee and her team are phenomenal. And then from there, I always just try to map out with my resources I have in my region. So obviously I have my reps and I'll sort of ask where they're going to be stationed. And I try to pinpoint those locations first. And so then I always feel like I have a welcome face to greet me, because the truth is, and maybe High Point Market doesn't want me to say this, but the truth is, it is overwhelming, and that's okay. It's really okay to feel overwhelmed. I think it's important to locate a few friendly faces first that you're going to meet, because then they can sort of guide you to maybe what's next. So I totally understand that market can be overwhelming. And so those friendly faces really help you start and get your footing.
Well, I love that advice because there are plenty of friendly faces from a Chairish perspective. Plenty
Absolutely.
Of vendors are showing at market. And you mentioned, which I love, starting with the vintage and antique material. That's where my heart lives, and that's my favorite place. We have a question about how do you mix and match antique and vintage pieces with contemporary when you're at market? Do you have any advice for how to overview both sections if you're planning to pull together a finished project?
Sure. Well, actually, that's kind of my favorite. I think that life is collected. I often share with clients that if we go on a walk in the woods, you look around and it's some of the most beautiful scenery you can ever see. Nothing matches. There aren't two trees that are the same. There aren't two bushes that are exactly next to each other in perfect harmony. And so that mix and match is really the vernacular, I think, of what we do and who we are. I think if we all go back to the basics of principles of design and we look at volume and proportion, that is how we marry it together. I think anything that has a similar line, has a similar context, can marry really beautifully together. I think it's very possible to give something that's super classic and timeless with something that's super contemporary when you start to look at just the fundamentals of design themselves. And so that volume and proportion of product, I think, really aid us into marrying them really beautifully.
That's a great answer. And with that in mind, I think one of Chairish's strengths is the eclecticism that is possible looking through all the different material representing different periods and styles that is available in our inventory. We have a question about sourcing while at market. Do you recommend coming with a sourcing checklist in mind, or do you recommend getting inspired by what you see at market?
So I think we're all different people, and I think that we all have a different strategy. And so I think the universal answer is you have to work how you work. But I would say that with my experience at market, I do about 50-50. I have a list and I allow myself time to vary from that list or allow myself a little time to be inspired. I think we can't put ourselves in a box because, again, coming to market 5 times or 50 times, it's still a bit overwhelming. There's a lot to see, and there's not a lot of time to do it. Most people probably spend only 3 days at market on average. And so it's really difficult to take away a 5 day period. Folks have kids and pets and spouses and businesses to run. And so I say if you show up with about 50-50, even in that 50-50, if you get only 50% of your 50% done, then you're doing pretty good. So I think at the end of the day, if you set yourselves up for success in that respect, you'll walk away feeling like you really use the best of market.
That's smart. And piggybacking on that, a question we have is that because it can be overwhelming, how do you stay organized at market? And what follow-ups do you recommend after having met some of the vendors and getting inspired?
I only smile and sort of giggle at this because I'm probably the worst person to ask this question to, because I feel like I just dash across market constantly. And so I often encourage good shoes. A dear friend of mine, Stacey Garcia, some of you may know her. She always has the most incredible Converse on. She's like dressed in the nines in a pair of Converse. So first and foremost, in staying organized, I have to tell you, you need a good pair of shoes. I think if your feet are feeling fine, your mind will be at ease in some respects. But with that, in sort of developing out how to really do it, I think from there, we on my end, I make sure I get cards and I just sort of make notes on the back of the cards, just as I would at any networking day. And at the end of the day, I always do myself a mini recap. So I take a piece of paper, write notes, fold up all those cards, write what day it was on it, and then I put it in my bag. And so while it's not always foolproof, it at least reminds me the context of the day. And so from there, I'll have the opportunity to sort of recap the day and connect back to what things happened in which. It's been my little trick that I have found works. And hopefully if one other person, it works out, then I feel like I've shared some good stuff.
That's a great suggestion. Footwear is always number one when at market. And you also mentioned the snacks, which I will also say are a little treasure hunt unto themselves. I even got a henna tattoo the last time I was there.
Wow.
At a rug showroom. And the last question is from a groupie of yours. Will you be hosting any events at market where designers can meet you in person? And you mentioned one, maybe you could give us the details of that again.
Yeah, so sadly, I'm actually going to arrive to market on Saturday, as I have a pre-engagement before. But so I'll be bebopping around market Saturday and Sunday. So please, if you see me, stop and say hello. I always love running into everyone just sort of spontaneously. I decided because, and we didn't get a chance to mention this, but I do have the privilege of serving this fall with four other colleagues as an all-star style spotter. If I can get that out quickly. And we're excited because our market journey is a little bit different than style spotters in the past. So we don't have a huge opportunity to be hosting events because we are going to be boots on the ground, really looking and conversating with our manufacturers to put out a pretty comprehensive list of what's new and what's next at market. However, I will be leading an antiques and design, antiques and antique reproduction tour on Monday at 9:15. I know it's early. Listen, I'm not a morning person, but if I can be there, I hope that someone else can join us. But it's really exciting. We are going to start at going over to my favorite, antiques and design, and then we go to 214 vintage. And Stephanie and her team have been working so hard to really lead the way. And what makes me more excited about her and that journey is it's great to see young faces leading the way in such an old world business. And so, and to see women leading the way, both Amanda and her team at Antiques and Design and Stephanie and her team, it's so wonderful to see women in our industry. And so those will be our first two places. And then the third stop will happen right before lunch. And I can't reveal that one yet because it's a surprise, but it's the hook and bait to get you to come to find out what that third location is. But it also is an incredible journey to see this individual and what they've built and their one-of-a-kind shop at market. I also want to mention that while it's not on my tour this time, in 2019, we had the chance to visit Randall Tysinger, whose shop is probably one of the most incredible and really spiritual visits at market. And I don't use that word lightly. They are actually having a big liquidation sale as they are going to be moving, which is it's really sad on many, many levels. And we wish them well on a very public platform. I encourage you to really check them out and see some of the beautiful, beautiful pieces that they have and really partake in that treasure that we are going to be losing at the end of this market. But it's definitely worth a notable spot. So you might actually see me there as well.
Okay, well, those are awesome tips for market coming up this fall. I hope everyone finds their treasures and we'll be hearing from you. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you so much.